Hello everyone, my name is Ellis Owens. I go by my, it was Air Force call sign, now it's my gamer tag, Clark Kent 434. And today guys, I'm bringing you another weapons review video. And we're going to talk about the MTAR. Now I did a first look at the MTAR a while back, but I've got some stats and let's go over the hardcore numbers. And MTAR is probably one of my favorite weapons for hip firing, and you can really see why if you look at the numbers. The MTAR has a maximum damage of 25, a minimum of 18. Now I will say right now it is 18, but it has been noted through DICE as of their blogs and stuff and updates, and you might have seen this in my videos about weapon balancing, that the 18 minimum damage is going to be changed to 15.8. So obviously, as I've always said on most of my weapon videos, check the link in the description to simtic.com. These guys get their stats right from the game code to see if it's changed. Right now as it stands, it's 18 as the minimum, and 18 is also the minimum damage for most assault rifles, but they're going to change it to 15.8, which is standard for all carbines. So that is going to be basically rebalanced to a little bit low number to be even playing field with all carbines. Your drop off starts on your weapon at 8 meters, and it ends at 50. Fire rate is at 900 RPMs, and it is also for burst rate. Muzzle velocity is at 570. Suppressed is at 320. Bullet drop off is at a standard 15 meters per second squared. You have 31 in the magazine, and that is included with 1 in the chamber. It takes 2.5 seconds with bullets left in the chamber to do a reload, and 3 seconds empty. Your recoil pattern is 0.3 upwards, 4 to the left, 4 to the right. It decreases at 18. Your first shot multiplier is 2.8. Getting down to the spread numbers, the spread increase is a 0.117. It decreases at 15. Looking at some of the accuracy stuff, the ADS, aim down sights, not moving, is a 0.37. While moving, it's a 0.67, and your hip fire, standing not moving, base hip fire, what most people consider, is a 1.5. Now with all those numbers out, what's so good about the MTAR? Well, the MTAR, for one thing, is, compared to most carbines, is 50% better moving, and has a 50% better moving speed and a 75% better 50% better hip fire and a 75% better moving speed. I got those numbers backwards almost. That means it's better while moving, and it's better while firing from the hip. That means not aiming down sights. That's what's one of the strong suits of this. Of all the carbines, this one seems to be, there's only a few carbines that seems to kind of mimic PDWs, and this is really one. I mean, it has a hip fire of a 1.5. Carbines have a 2.5. Assault rifles are 3. Most LMGs are, and assault and sniper rifles are like a 5. That's extremely high. So PDWs are a solid 1. So this is very close to, you could say, a PDW. I mean, PDWs are 1. This has a 1.5. So it's very, very close. I mean, it has a 0.67, 0.675 moving ADS, which is very, very good. I mean, it is built for moving while firing. It is the hip fire monster. I mean, that's what it excels at. And it's 900 rounds per minute, a healthy 570 muzzle velocity. You know, what it's most keen for is up close, firing from the hip. So that's really where it's strong points and where it excels. You say, so if it's strong and there, where is some of the weakness? Well, some of the weaknesses, well, will come down to the first would be the reload. Anytime that you have a bullpup weapon, and an MTAR is a bullpup weapon. You say, what's a bullpup weapon? A bullpup weapon is where the magazine, when reloading, is behind the grip, the handle grip, where the trigger is. The magazine is behind it. So if the magazine is behind the grip of the gun, and he reloads it behind there, that makes it a bullpup. If it's in front, I think they just consider them a standard assault rifle. So bullpups, by nature, how DICE makes them, they always give them better hip fire accuracy from most bullpups. There's I think one exception to that, and that's the SAR. But to balance them, they also give them a way longer reload, and its characteristics also in the MTAR. The MTAR has a 2.5 with bullets left in chamber reload. Is it the greatest? Not really. That would have been great in Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 had really slow reloads, but Battlefield 4, that's a little bit on the long side. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's starting to border on the long side. There is some worse reloads than that, but you'll find that a 2.5, you can be caught off guard. I mean, I've got a couple hundred kills with the MTAR, and I've found out I've gotten caught off guard several times compared to the more competitive weapons with better reloads. Empty is a whole 3 seconds, and that's quite long, actually, with no bullets left in the chamber. So that's kind of the balancing. Anytime you have a bullpup, you always are going to have better hip fire and moving speed, but worse reload, and that's just with any bullpup in the game. So that's one of the downside effects. Another downside of the effect is because of bullpups usually have better moving, they also balance them that they don't have good aim down sights. They're a little bit worse than everything. If you look at most carbines, they're standard 3. This has a 3.75. It's very close to a 4. It's pretty much a 4. So it makes it where it's not the best while shooting down sights. F4 is basically standard with all PDW, so it's not the best while shooting down sights, and that's what they do. That's another thing with bullpups. Anytime you have guns that are better with hip fire, they usually balance them. DICE does. They have not as good not great aim down sights accuracy, and that's just a balancing thing. So that's another con, you could say. And probably the last one is the recoil. The first shot multiplier 2.8 is high, but it's not horrible. I mean, the AK is higher, and there's a few other ones out there. The AS Val is even higher than that. It's a 3.5, but the recoil is kind of it's not real great. It has an upward of a 3.4, which is a little strong. But the side-to-side recoils are both 4, and which are pretty high. But typically, anytime you have a side-to-side recoil that are both the same numbers and that are higher than 3, you kind of get this what is known as a waddling effect, and it can make very accurate guns into very horrible guns. Example would be the G36C. It's a very accurate gun, but it's not actually, because it has a waddling effect, it becomes very kind of horrible. This waddling effect, because even though you have balanced 4 and 4 on either side and they do cancel each other out, when you fire, you can't predict which way the gun's going to go. Is it going to go left or is it going right? Because it's both balanced on the recoils on left and right. If you had one side higher than another, you can predict the recoil is going to go left. If it's more stronger than left. If it's going to be stronger right, you can predict that it's going to go to the right. Thus, you can compensate it with your mouse or thumbstick. But when you have this balanced high recoil on either side, it waddles. And when it waddles, it just kind of throws the bullets left to the left and right, and you just can't predict it. I don't really care for guns that waddle. Waddling guns, I've noticed, really suffer at that mid-range fire, which is about 40 to 80 meters. They suffer more than any other guns. And they're typically one of the hardest guns to use from mid to longer ranges because of this waddling effect. They also can make, sometimes they also feel like they're one of the most balanced in the recoils, but that's because of they cancel each other out. The best way to compensate for this is probably put on a compensator. A compensator balances lowers the left and right recoil dramatically way down enough where the waddlings are so slightly they don't actually waddle that much. But you'll notice on your mid-range firefights that it really doesn't. It just doesn't stand up. Now I will say, because of this being a high fire rate weapon and it does kind of have that waddling effect, you really shouldn't be using the MTAR for that mid-range fire, anything beyond 40 meters. Because, to be honest, anytime you have a close range weapon, and I tell people this, if you have a good strong close range weapon, you don't want to try to push it in the mid range, because you'll probably get out killed by someone who has a better mid range gun. You're just putting yourself at a disadvantage. You always want to stack the odds in your favor. But if you're an experienced player and really have a lot underneath your belt and really like this weapon, well, you know, that is a tip to try as the compensator. To try to gain some mid-range back into the gun. One setup I did find very interesting for some mid-range is putting the MTAR in burst fire, putting an angled or folding grip, and putting the heavy barrel, and I put a 3x sight on it. You'll see me in some of this gameplay that I'm actually doing that setup right in here. I find it to be a very effective mid-range. It was a very unusual setup, but it actually worked. I don't know why. Sometimes the most strangest setups you come up with are sometimes the most deadliest setups. But, you know, that was something I found out. So, that recoil can be another problem. Overall, the MTAR is probably best, like I said, at close range, and you know, playing that card to your advantage and try to use it, and firing from the hip. Other than that, I mean, it's a good gun. I mean, as long as you use those two things to your advantage, you'll always probably win most gunfights. There's not much else to say about, except for, you know, it's returned. It's a great gun, and I really do enjoy it. So, guys, I mean, there's not much else left. So, if you really do like this commentary, please give me a like. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to have more commentaries coming out. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. And I hope everyone has a safe day. And thank you all. Goodbye.